and you can review it,
fine.
or you can forward it on to colleagues and what have you.
Great. Yeah, no problem.
It'll just go up to YouTube, and I'll send you a link. Okay, so what you see in front of you is the data overview screen. So this is a list of every single call as it comes in, call by call, and on the top big blue section here is really a summary of everything that's showing below. This is for an existing customer, the Caravan Club. Now, we use an active filter here. So if I want to filter down any of these individual records of surveys, then all I need to do is say, click on Martine's team, for example. And that will just say, right now, I've filtered every single record below that to be only Martine's team. If I then wanted to further filter, I might say, okay, I only want to look at records from Sandra Sheehan, so I'd click on that. And it'll active filter only calls coming in from her. So I can very, very quickly, without messing about, drill down to some really useful information about surveys from Sandra. If I want to play back the verbatim, I just simply click on this. This is what's being captured after the call. It will tell me how long it is before I click on it. If I hover over here, it will tell me whether I've listened to it previously, if somebody else has listened to it, or if it's never been played. Now, what you have in each record is obviously a timestamp and a date stamp. The dialed number is the number that accesses the survey. The CLI would be the just a second. Would be the caller's phone number if it's not withheld. Caravan Club don't pass this through from their switch, so we don't see it. The campaign, you can run multiple surveys. So if you are rotating lots of surveys, then you would just see which survey is being displayed here. Agent PIN is effectively what the agent enters when they're transferring a survey to a caller into a survey to identify themselves. That can be automated, but I won't go into that just now. So it doesn't have to be something that allows the agent to cherry pick technically. We can avoid that. Each of the questions are broken down, and you see the scores on each individual question, and then the total and your average. This particular customer, if I undo these filters, this particular customer, we allow them to pass across their customer ID, and we store that into the system as well, so that they can easily report on surveys left by affected customers. So that's quite handy for them. And we've got one of our other big customers, Motability Operations. They identify, they put a dealer ID in here so that they can gather other types of information that are specific to dealer groups. Over here, the green light indicates that it's a complete survey, and red is an incomplete survey. And obviously, you can get rid of this survey as a record. However, we have a delay in that deletion, and we also have a log of who's deleted that. So, and also there's a hierarchy that prevents certain access levels from deleting anything at all. Sure. But what we don't want your supervisors doing is trying to strip out the low scoring surveys to get to hit their target or what have you, without there being an audit trail around that.
So do the customers drop into the survey immediately after the call?
That's the idea, yeah. So the ways that it typically works in this industry anyway are that your agent would handle the call. They would invite the caller to participate in an immediate survey. They would hit a hotkey on their keypad. They would be asked to enter their agent PIN number, and then they would transfer the call. And the caller would be asked however many questions. We advocate asking 3 questions as your benchmarking. And then if you need to gather any further insights, that you rotate your survey. So in that, in those 3 questions, what we suggest you use as your benchmarking are Net Promoter Score, Customer Effort Score, how easy did we make it for you to do business with us today, and agent performance. How do you rate the performance of the person who dealt with your query?
So you can draw that information out of each survey and aggregate it.
Yeah, that's typically. Yeah, so we typically push that as a benchmark survey up to your wall boards, and we advocate that you always run that survey, but for a control sample of your calls. Let's say every 10th call goes to your benchmarking. If there's further insight, which would be specific to you that you want to capture, then run another survey and run that on every 9th call. If you're ideally keeping the number of questions to a minimum on a phone survey, because you really want to get your completion rates there, and if you're asking too many questions, then you get dropout. So,
yeah, sure.
And with 70 agents, you're going to have a fair wealth of calls to select from, and control samples will allow you to say, right, every 9th call I'm going to survey this, every 8th call I'll survey that, and I'm not going to survey the same questions to the same caller in the same month. I'll rotate that so we can use some intelligence to say, right, that person's already had this survey because we recognise that's DLI. Yeah.
Could you, so you can have a net promoter score from this system? Is that what you're saying, really?
Yeah, so I'll show that to you shortly. I'll show you how we output the data into
how does analytics work in tandem? Voice analytics work in tandem with the survey? Can it strip out? Because it's all very well having scores and data coming from the verbatim that's left by the customer, but the interesting bit is not just the score; it's what's been said, isn't it?
Yeah. So what's being said here, the way that we work this is it gives you alternative ways to capture that verbatim. So and it will be specific. The way that you ask for it will be specific to the scores that are given by the caller. So let's take this as an example for Caravan Club. Their maximum score is 15. Now, I can see absolutely that their agents are cherry picking here because their scores are too high. There's an average of 14.31, and that's almost unbelievable. Now, I think that's an own goal because if you're only capturing surveys from customers that are very happy, then you can't do anything about the customers that aren't happy.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, which is exactly the reason to have a process in place that encourages agents to transfer every single call. Now, we can automate it, but there's nothing quite like having the agent bought into the process. So that's why we've built rewards in, and that's why we've built this healthy competition in to sort of drive the culture of, actually, I want to be on top of the leaderboard, and I want to be better than I was yesterday and last month, and what have you. And the mix of those works really well. And also, you can determine the minimum number of surveys that have to be completed every day, or every period, and that will drive their performance. And if there's a negative outcome for them not passing surveys, course the survey, then they start to buy into it. But ultimately, each agent gets their own login. So could you automate it though, so that I think that's what you were saying earlier, that every 5th call drops into the survey. Yeah. Let's say Sandra. Go on. After the call, I'll send you some reading material that tells you that there's basically four options of how you engage with this. And what you might do initially is say, okay, I'm going to just go for the low-touch way that gives me some insight initially, and I might not even share this with my agents. I might just get some initially insight, and I might pick a group of 10 or 20 agents to pilot it, and then use that insight to help you drive the way forward. But if you were to go, very briefly, if you were to be doing this across your entire estate of 70 agents, ideally you would pass your 0800 number into our, I'm assuming it's an 800 or an 0844 number, into our control. So we would take that over from BT or whoever your supplier is. That means that the call is running through our system, our network. We're delivering it out to you in the normal way. You can allow the customer to opt in during your IVR. We can record the phone call, and we can append that call recording to the survey record if you want. And then when the agent clears down the call, automatically the caller will go into survey. They can't stop it happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. We use that as a command into our system. Because what's different with our system versus most of the other carriers is that we maintain control of the call once we've delivered it to you, we're still in control of it. We can still accept DTMF instruction and do all sorts of very clever things. And we've got a scripting tool that we can show on screen for your agents if need be. There's some very exciting things that we can do to manipulate that call. But I'll send you the reading on that so that you can kind of understand the detail.
Yeah, that'd be good. Thank you.
See what works for you. Okay, so in terms of capturing the verbatim, let's say your maximum score is 15. You might say anything below a 7 is unacceptable service. Okay, and you may say that anything over a 12 is great. I'm very happy. And anything in the middle, you know, you're satisfied with it. That will do. So in the event that someone leaves you a score of 5 as a total from 15, you would then we would play a different verbatim message, which would be we see that you scored us very low, and we're not happy that you're not happy, and we would like to do something about that. Please, after the tone, please give us some more detail about why you're not happy, and this will be reviewed within 48 hours. If you would like us to come back to you about this, then please don't forget to give us your contact details. So that's effectively giving the customer a voice there and then. If they're not happy with something, they can tell you about it. They'll leave their message. It's here as audio, but optionally we have a transcription system. So we can send that audio through the transcription process, and it will appear as a text file next to this play icon, and you can just literally hover over it, and it will show all of the text of the verbatim that they've left for you.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
Now, conversely, they may give terrific feedback. So if that's the case, then that's gold dust for agent motivation, and you know, for using in reviews and what have you. So, you know, what we suggest is that, you know, if it's 12 or above, that you play a message that says, "We're delighted that you're delighted, and we'd really love to know, have some more detailed feedback about what we did right for you today, so that we can share this for motivational purposes with our staff." And that's you know, what I really like about that in particular is that customers are often happy with the service that they've got, and they think to themselves, you know, I really ought to write in, but life takes over and you don't get time. It just gives you a very quick method of saying, actually, well done, pat on the back, you did a really good job there, thank you. And you know what it's like, I'm sure. I mean, I've worked in a call center myself many years ago, and it's a thankless task. You know, you take a lot of good time.
Yeah.
And when, you know, and even when you do a good job, you know, it's nice, number one, to be recognised by the customer, but also for your peers to see that you're being recognised. So it's motivational, not just for you, but sort of subliminally for your peers. They'll see you getting positive feedback and see you getting recognised for that, and they tend to want a piece of that. You know, so it's a real service driver. Now, before I move into showing you the next piece, there's a hierarchy that you can have in here. So you have a hierarchy of different surveys that would, you know, that you're rotating that would show here. There's a hierarchy of teams that you might set up, and then below there'd be a hierarchy of the individuals within the teams that you can just view. So really just to you know, give you an idea of how we structure it at a very high level. In terms of MI, we've developed a reporting structure in here which will allow you to pull out pretty much anything you could possibly imagine you want to know. So if I go to create a new report, I simply give the report a name and drill down here to what I want to see. So I can do select my report type. If I want to compare agents, for example, I might click compare, and it's going to take away all of the time-based stuff. But if I'm doing a data analysis, it will give me time parameters to enter in here. But I'll just schedule my dates in here. So I'm going to go back a couple of minutes. there. I won't do a start and end time. And then it's a case of what do I want to see in my report. So in this case, you've got all of these variables that you can see, but I want to do a report based on a number of agents. So I'm going to say, okay, I don't want to have all of my agents. I want to have, just a particular number of agents who I think are performing particularly well or particularly poorly, and I want to know what their, their average score is and what their NPS is. And so I then decide on my chart type, and if I want it to be delivered automatically, I'll put in daily, weekly, or monthly, and the email addresses that you want us to send it to. And if you want it as a PDF, you just check there. But I'm going to run that as a bar graph.
Yep.
And that will just show me the data that I'm looking for here in a fairly neat, kind of easy to understand, and I can export that if I've got a meeting to show.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
If I want to, I just want to export that. And it's just a button press and the job's done. It's going to be really, really tight. Okay, so I could probably spend a couple of hours showing you that report, but I'm sure you get it.
Sure, I get the general.
Okay, now I'll go to wallboards next. This is how you output the information for everybody to see.
Okay.
Now, there are various views that you can create, and it's an editable beast. So for Caravan Club, they've got 3 different views: campaign view, agent view, team view. So if I pull this up, okay. So this screen that you see in front of you is completely customizable with your look and feel and your logo. Down the bottom here, you can input, or you can use it as an RSS feed and grab external information and rotate those. This is a team view, so you can see each of the teams who's in top place. There's no data selected at the moment. I need to stop this particular campaign, but I can show you some live data if you need to see that. This swingometer on a busy day would be going back and forth, showing the service that's being delivered. And for each question in their survey is split down score by score, question by question, and it would show, if they were at a very high level here, then it would come up all the way up to here. And you can determine which fields of information you output into this middle display here. So this has got the individual agent names coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Now, in this bottom section, what we do is we periodically can push in the photograph of the person that's at the top. See Adam Johnson there comes in. He's the leaderboard, and that comes in. And when a customer leaves a maximum score survey, then it will flash a completely different screen across the entire screen. 5-star call, well done, agent name, their photograph. You've just delivered maximum score service to the last caller, just to kind of show off in front of everybody, really. And we can even send fireworks across the screen and that sort of, just a bit of fun stuff, really.
That's good.
So you can edit the look and feel of those just simply by clicking edit, and these are all the parameters that you can change: the color scheme, background image, customer logo, change the title, change how the questions look, change the coloring on each of the agents. If they're top scorer, they have a particular color, medium and low scorer. You can change the color of the ticker. You can change the scores, the color around the scores and how you display those. You can determine whether you're only showing today's date, yesterday, last 7 days, a certain number of months, etc., or custom dates. And who's going to appear at the top and how long for. It's completely customizable as to how you want to show that wallboard.
Sure.
And this is where you would push in your news information. So if you want to type something yourself, then type it in there, and then something else, and these will rotate. or if you want to push in some external information or some company-wide information, you've got an RSS feed that you can refer to, or here are the popular ones that you can just select from that we've already put in there. Then down below here, what we've got is secondary wallboards, and these really are an opportunity for you to show some very defined information on a large screen, or these might just be used by supervisors to rotate in between. So you can view these in different formats. Here's a line chart one here, and this shows me all the teams and how they're individually performing over the given days. And I hover over here and I can see all the different information. If I want to extract somebody, I just take these out. Now that view is rotating with this view because of the way they've got it set up, and it's just doing a list. It's really just different views, whatever you feel works for you as a display. You've got the option to kind of input those. And where we've got customers where they're over multiple sites, what they'll tend to do is they'll have a view of their team on one screen, and then they'll have a view of their team pitched against all of the other teams in the different sites, so that there's a bit of interdepartmental or inter-site competition being engendered.
I see. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So next thing that I think you might like to see. Oh, actually, just going back to this data overview.
Yep.
You're in control of what you want to see on this screen, just simply by going to the settings tab over here. My machine has decided to lock up. Bear with me.
No, not at all. Technology, eh?
Yeah. All right, here we go. It's just being slow. Okay, so all these checkboxes effectively determine what you show in your data overview. So you can see that there's no notes field enabled. So if I just check notes and I come down and save, where I mentioned to you before that each of your agents have their own private login. Effectively, they may come in here and let's say they've had an alert to say you've had either great feedback or negative feedback. They might want to come in and listen to that. And if it's negative, they might want to actually add a note to say, to be fair, that customer's being really unreasonable. And they would just click in here and add that in, and it would save in, and that would then be available for whichever supervisor might then subsequently listen to that piece of negative feedback, and because they want to investigate it, which can obviously be really quite helpful and gives the agent the comfort that actually it's not just the customer that's going to be listened to; they've got a voice as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if I move on to alerts.
Okay.
You would use this effectively to help you manage very positive or very negative feedback. So let's just stick with negative feedback for the moment. If I want an alert and I want it on every call based on a total score, which is below an acceptable figure of 5, let's say, I also want you to send me that recording, the verbatim that they've left, and I'm going to title that unhappy customer, and then I want to send that to Daniel at AXA Wealth, etc. And I'll just save that, and I can also send that to a number of people if I want to. So effectively, that will send you an email, and in the body of the email will be the survey data overview, and a link for you to just effectively go and review that. But also, as an attachment, will be the WAV file, so you can listen to the verbatim and review that, and possibly get straight on top of it immediately. And the point of that and the immediacy of it is that if someone's unhappy and you wait weeks and weeks to do anything about it, an awful lot of damage can happen in that period of time. If someone indicates that they're unhappy and you're straight on top of it, and you make a promise of, look, you have got a voice, we are listening, tell us what's gone wrong, we will review this within X amount of time. As long as you make a promise and you keep that promise, then you can actually end up with a more loyal customer than you had before, because, you know, it's a chance for a deeper interaction and for them to, you know, have their problem resolved and move forward. And, you know, often you'll get a much better NPS from somebody that's had a complaint, had it resolved properly, and then feels like, actually, fair dues, I did a really good job there, than somebody who never complained in the first place.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah. Okay. So the last piece in here is, you know, we're very much about engaging the agent in wanting to be involved in this and seeing it as a self-improvement tool, taking responsibility for giving fantastic service on every single call, and, you know, not letting that standard slip even if they're feeling a bit rough from the start party the night before. So we've developed this rewards program, and the idea of this is really to let customers be the decision makers in who is receiving rewards, and let, you know, the agents determine how customers will feed back to them by giving great service regardless of how they're feeling. So you create a campaign date, and that could be a daily campaign or a weekly or a monthly. Really, it's up to you. You just select your date, and you'll say, okay, within that time period, let's actually say that's 1 day. Within that time period, the minimum number of qualifying calls is 20. Okay, so that agent knows that they have to survey at least 20 calls that day, or they're going to get no points at all. Now, if that agent scores between 0 and 25% of the total maximum customer feedback score available, then what score am I going to give them? Well, actually, I wouldn't give them a score. I would probably take marks away from them, because that's unacceptable service every time. So I'm going to say, right, I'm going to give you minus 10 points for scoring that low. I'm going to give you minus 5 points for scoring this low. I'm going to give you 5 points for getting above 50%, between 50 and 70. I'm going to give you 10 for 70 to 90, and I'm going to give you a whopping 20 for being between 90 and 100%. I'm also going to give you a bonus if you get maximum. For every maximum scoring call, I'm going to give you a bonus of 10.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a bonus as well if you are above average for all of our staff. So whatever the average is for everybody, for those that are above that average, I'm going to give you 50 points. If you're below average, I'm going to deduct 50 points. If you're the top scorer, I'm going to give you a whole load of points, so that you can maybe, you know, win a weekend somewhere or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're second in the list, then I'm going to give you 250 points. And if you're third, I'm going to give you 100. Now, we're also trying to drive consistency as well. So we've put in place this field, which I think needs a bit more work actually, in terms of finding an algorithm that will work in the real world of generating consistency. Because it's great to say, if you're better than yesterday, you'll get a bonus. But if you're then worse the next day, the following day you'll be better than yesterday. So I'm not sure that that's really going to work. So we're going to do some work on developing an algorithm that is designed around, if you're keeping a consistently high level, then there is a bonus. So it will do a sort of a look back over the month and the previous month and the previous month to say, yeah, you're within 2 or 3% of your usual, therefore here's a bonus. So I'll just save that, and you know, a number of these are going to be allocated on a call-by-call basis, and you'll be able to report on that. And then these ones will be reviewed at the end of the period, because it won't know what the averages are or who finishes top until the end of the period. Yeah, and there's no there's no restriction on how many sets of concurrent reward criteria you set up. So you might have a daily reward program, a weekly, and a monthly all running in tandem. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Okay. So finally, what we've got kind of planned, you know, the brief has been written, but we're still taking customer feedback on it to make sure that we're kind of designing it to fit customer needs as broadly as we can. What became apparent fairly recently is that quite a few of our customers are using this to respond to customers that are giving them very poor feedback and try to effectively turn that into a method of handling that as a complaint. So we're going to open up another column on the right-hand side here called complaint handling, and effectively that will have a button on it which says add to complaint handling. You'll click on that button and it will bring up two fields. The first field will be a complaint reference, a sequential reference that we assign to that complaint. And the second box will be a free text box for you to assign your own internal CRM complaint reference, so that you can then use that to report on in our system if needs be. Once you've populated that, there'll be another tab up here which will be complaint handling, and you'll open that up and there'll effectively be a mini CRM based on your complaint handling process, which will allow you to assign that complaint to particular individuals. They'll be able to log in and input notes that will be time and date stamped. You'll be able to assign a priority level around that complaint, i.e., you know, are they a high spender, therefore they need to be at the top of the pile, or, you know, are they a very influential person, therefore that needs to be addressed much more quickly. Then at the end of your complaint handling process, once you're coming to close that off, there would be a process for you to resurvey that customer to say, okay, now what do you think of us? We've handled that complaint. This was your initial feedback. Could you give us your feedback now based on the same criteria? And we can then start to report on, okay, that complaint process is actively impacting your NPS by this score, by this amount.
I get you. Yep. Yep, makes sense.
So that's pretty much it, really, in terms of how it is.
There's a lot in there. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting stuff.
Yeah.
If you could send me that material to read and just do some reflection, just so you're clear on kind of the situation here. We're currently going through a bit of a restructure, which will and is involving people being made redundant, which is just part of AXA's withdrawal from the bank assurance market, which you might have seen in the press. So it may mean that I might be moving on, for example. However, I will be moving on elsewhere, and you know, I'm not sure the timescales yet, but this is a useful tool. One of the things I wanted to do today was listen to this, not just for the sake of potentially AXA looking at it, but you know, any future employer that I work for, I think it would also come in very handy there.
Yeah. Okay.
So there may be not just one, maybe more opportunity to talk further about the use of this tool.
Super. Well, you know, we're here to support you whenever you need that support.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
Would it be useful for you to see what this costs?
Yes, it would. It would. It'd be really useful if that's okay.
I'll send you the pricing. I'll just give you a very quick look at it now on the screen so that you can understand it quickly. Can you see that on your screen now?
I can. Yeah.
Okay. So effectively, we've got two parameters that are charged. On the left-hand side, is the number of agents that you would include in the system. And so between 0 and 100, the cost to set up a survey is 750 quid. Between 0 and 10, you'll pay £200 a month for the facility, and you will have 1,000 surveys included in that.
Yep.
And then any surveys over, you pay 20p per survey.
I get you. Yeah.
If you had your whole team and you'd sit in this band of 51 to 100, you'd pay a couple of grand.
Couple of grand a month. Yep.
You'd get 20,000 surveys included in that, which should be ample.
It should be more than ample.
That would be loads. If you want to run lots of surveys, then you pay a setup fee per survey, but they aggregate into this. They'll each have the same survey allowance. You don't need to pay this for every survey. And then if you go over your allowance, you pay, as you can see, the extra 10p per survey. Yes, it's fairly straightforward. And there's some price breaks down below. The above is based on a 90-day notice, a 90-day rolling notice.
Yep.
If you commit to 12 months, then
you
get 10% and so on. I can't imagine anyone will ever commit to 60 months, but you never know. If you're a telecoms customer of ours, then you get 15% discount to whichever package you go for. And if you pay annually in advance, then we'll give you 10% discount for that as well. Now, telco discount would be where, for example, where we took your 0800 number or whatever number your customers are dialing with. So we're then making some margin on the entire call. So billing you for your call traffic and call recording or whatever else, other bells and whistles you might subscribe to. But often that's something that IT get involved in, and we all know how flexible it can be.
Yes, we do.
There's a list down here of what's included. So I'll get this over to you. I'll get the customer establishment document over to you, which is about 10 pages or so, and that describes to you the different methods to engage and just some other useful reading, really, to help you understand how we deliver it. Just get in touch with any questions you've got, or if you want to run a pilot on a small team, I mean, you can have 10 agents on this for, and your commitment is 600 quid plus a survey setup. It's peanuts, really, to run a small team pilot.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, listen, thank you very much for your time, and that was very insightful.
Great.
And done a lot of listening and note taking. So, yeah, I think if you can get that information through to me, then I can start to give it some real thought as to how this plays into what we're doing here, and also, as I said, future thinking as well. So, listen, thank you very much for your time. Much appreciated.
Well, thanks for coming on the call. I'll drop you an email in the next half an hour or so, and that'll include all of this information and the link to the recording of this session.
Great.
Okay.
Excellent. Yeah, thanks again.
Have a great weekend, Dan.
And you too. Cheers, man. Bye.
Cheers, then. Bye-bye.